want to say a very big thank you to everybody who actually joined the last session we had. It was indeed an eye opener, and I look forward to. I also want to make this that henceforth we are going to be having intelligent conversations like this, and on this channel also, I would also be giving security reports. So I will not just be sharing only real estate investment opportunity. I would also be giving um, security reports as regards the current insecurity that is going on. So I want to start by saying a very big thank you to everybody that is joining us today. I don't take this for granted, and I also want to call and solicit for you in case you are coming across this YouTube channel for the first time. Endeavor to give us a like, subscribe to this channel, and let us interact together. Okay, so in case you might be seeing this video for the first time, my name is Ade Mola Adejare, your number one real estate investment specialist here in the beautiful city of Lagos, Nigeria. And I help real estate investors to secure genuine and affordable real estate in Lagos, Nigeria. Um, I do mostly residential properties. I do landed properties. I do commercial real estate, and I would really, really appreciate if you can subscribe to this channel, and let's just quickly go into this without waiting for further time. So please, you can also give us a like, you can give us a thumb, a share, and then let us interact together. So on Wednesday, I gave a detailed information about some people that were arrested in Ibeju Lekki axis. And of course, I believe you all saw the video. You saw how the video went viral, and it was reported by eyewitnesses that most of these guys or the arrested guys were Fulani herdsmen, according to the eyewitnesses that saw this. And I also went further by explaining basically that these guys were arrested in the Bejuleki corridor, and they've been handed over to the appropriate security authorities. And I don't need to talk, that video went viral, and my comment section actually exploded after I made that video. And I said I was going to dig further and find out if the Bejuleki axis is actually porous, if the location is porous for attack. So I went further and spoke with some security operatives. More importantly, there's a security outfit, okay, in Ibeju Lekki, headed by some of the community leaders. You know, if you're familiar with some of the Ibeju Lekki axis, you will find out basically that they were some security outfits that mans some of the activities there. And so when I went further, I made a lot of foundings, due diligence, and we found out basically that according to the security operative, that it was a false alarm. These guys were not headsmen, but they were people who were going about their lawful business, and their identity were mistaken and misinterpreted to be armed bandits. And another thing why I seemed to believe that report basically is that um, nothing is impossible in Lagos, basically. And because of the rising security tension that we have in this region, everybody obviously is a suspect. So these are some of the things that actually happened. So should we rejoice that Lagos is not prone to attack yet? Should we rejoice? Should we celebrate that it was a false alarm and Lagos appears to be safe? Um, I would say this is even where we need to be more proactive as far as putting all the necessary security architecture in place. And the reason why I would say this, or the reason why this is very, very important, basically, is that um, if they are in Oyo states, if these guys are in Ondo and other southwestern states, it is very, very obvious that Lagos will be a destination target for them. And last week I said that we should not be having this kind of conversation on the 21st, in the 21st century. However, this is actually the unfortunate situation we have found ourselves as a nation, and we it's just quite unfortunate. So on today's episode, I'm going to be explaining three important security measures that the Lagos security team needs to put in place. And I'll also be giving intelligent investment advice to real estate investors. And more importantly, I will be explaining what or the major reason why you should be very, very conversant with what is going on. Now, so I'll start by saying if you are a real estate investor um, in Lagos, the first thing you need to do basically is that you need to focus more, okay, on, I would say, you need to focus more in investing in locations that have the appropriate security architecture. I'm going to say this: if you have been investing in real estate in Lagos, now it is very important that you prioritize areas where the adequate security apparatus or security architecture can save your investment. And if you have been following what has been happening in other southwestern axis of the country, you will realize basically that right now, the entire insecurity situation that is happening across the country right now is affecting Lagos real estate negatively. And the reason why I would say that is affecting Lagos real estate negatively basically is that the people who have left their homes, who have left their settlements, who have left their culture, who have left their civilization are running to neighboring places. And if you should follow the pattern of migration, more importantly, this pattern was actually influenced by the rising cost of insecurity in other areas. They are putting pressure on the urban areas. They are putting pressures on the urban area. And recently, we've had more calls for rental properties, more I'll say this particular month of June has been the highest. I'm not majorly into rent, but I've had some of my colleagues who have actually called asking for location to some places. And the reason for this location basically is due to the fact that that is where people choose to have their next residential. So if this situation is not adequately addressed as soon as possible, there will be pressure on other areas. So it's quite unfortunate that we're having this kind of conversation. But however, we still need to talk about it. Now, the first thing I need to talk about this rising cost of insecurity, or some of the things you need to do as a real estate investor. Now, we all know basically that what is happening in Nigeria is, I would say, very, very unfortunate. And a lot of people have been very, very, how do I say this now? A lot of people have been very, very concerned. And yes, if you are a Nigerian, you will also be concerned. This is not even a matter whether you are in the country or not. It's a matter of urgent, urgent rise. And would I say that our security has not done enough? However, I won't be going into that. I won't be going into that. I'm so sorry. I just want to quickly, okay, I just want to quickly respond to this. So, should we say that our security architecture have not done enough, or what exactly is, the issue or the problem we have here? Now, the thing basically is that we need to. Now, first of all, I want to appreciate everybody that have been vocal over this situation. I want to appreciate everybody, all necessary, meaningful, well-meaning Nigerians that have lent their voices about this. It's quite unfortunate that the children that were kidnapped in Oyo are still in captivity, and we believe very well that if we intensify this pressure, a lot of things will done, and hopefully the children will be released, to go back to their parents. So what should we do? The first thing Lagos needs to do basically is that Lagos needs to understand that he is a possible target for terrorist attack. Lagos needs to understand that it is a possible target for terrorist attack. And the reason why Lagos is a possible target, okay, is due to the fact that Lagos is the commercial backbone of the entire country. Yesterday, I was at the farm in the next generation farm. I was there, and while I was there, first of all, I want to applaud the executive governor of Ogun State in the person of His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun, and I would say basically that um, he's also rising up to the occasion. Now, we were driving all the way we drove from Bega down to Lafenwa. From Lafenwa, we drove to Rounder, then we drove to Alamala, where the farm is, which is the next generation farm. And one thing I would say, basically, the reason why I'm applauding, I'm not, now, please don't misquote my comments. Okay, so I think I have to make some important clarifications here so that I will not be misquoted. Now, the first thing I want us to understand is that I am not partisan. I am not partisan. Though I'm interested in what is happening to our nation as a whole. However, I am not a supporter of whether ADC, APC, PDP. I'm not partisan. But what I do as a well-meaning Nigerian basically is that when I notice important things that the leaders are doing to salvage the situation, I would make recommendations and applaud them when necessary and when it is important to do so. So right from the governor's office down to Lafenwa, down to Rounder, down to even when we drove to where the farm is, they were security checkpoints. And I would say basically that this is very, very commendable. They were important security checkpoints. And I would say basically because Lagos and Ogun State are neighboring states to these locations, and I'll say basically that it is very, very commendable. And I also want to thank the governor for taking these proactive steps to protect the good people of Ogun State. So to an extent, that area of Ogun State that I drove through yesterday, I can come here and tell you basically that that area is well secured, and they are very, very aware, much aware of the current situation on ground, and they are doing everything possible to avoid possible attacks. When I got to Bega, because when I got to Bega yesterday, I saw another security outfit. And I would say basically to the entire Lagos Police Command, the governor, His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, thank you for putting security in beggar. And the reason why I am thanking you basically is that you are waking up now to, I'm not saying you are sleeping or you are passive, but I'm trying to say is that you are becoming more aware of where could be the possible areas that these people could infiltrate Lagos through. And Bega is an important location. However, I would also say that don't just put security in Bega alone. Badagry is also a border town. Please let us have security patrol van in Badagry. Let us also have security patrol van in Ijebu Ode, the boundary of Ekpe and Ijebu Ode. Let us also have security patrol van, more importantly, in the Odeomi axis of Ibeju Lekki. These are border towns. Okay, so if there will be possible infiltrations, I would believe that these guys or these terrorists will be looking at border towns that they could easily, infiltrate through, and their movement may not be detected by security agencies. So please, I'm not teaching the Lagos Police Command their job. I'm not saying they should listen to, but I'm just making recommendations based on the way these guys have been operating in other states, and we have seen basically that rural areas are might be prone to these attacks. So Odiomi, because Odiomi is a boundary between Lagos and Ogun State and Lagos and Ondo State, so we should have border patrol in those axes. I know there's a security outfit in the Museyo area of Ibeju Lekki. In fact, there are two police stations in Museyo, and there's also one at Iberekodo. Yes, there's a police station there. Then also there should also be a security checkpoint in the Korodu Shagamu axis border, because these are the border towns that I know exist. Okay, and these border towns links Lagos to other, because you see, if these guys are to attack Lagos, I would know what I think they would do possibly, because their pattern of operation in Lagos may be different. What is rampant in other states basically is that you will see they've made a lot of kidnappings, attacks on schools, and some other things like that. I think if these guys have the opportunity to infiltrate Lagos, they'll be looking for large gatherings. They'll be looking for large gatherings like supermarkets, where they can, cause more catastrophic areas. So I was at Bega, I saw the security. In fact, I would have taken pictures, but I won't know the situation whereby there will be copyright and other things. But please, to the security architecture in Lagos, please let us have more patrol vans in these border towns, because if Lagos is not under attack now, these people will be looking at coming to Lagos, and these are some of the things that we need to do. So these are just one of the things, and it is also very important that we should be security cautious. And now the consequences of this is that people who stay in rural settings, there will now be more movement and then pressure on real estate. And as at the moment, there was a structure that was recently, inhabited by a colleague friend of mine. And one of the things I think I discovered about this was due to the fact that this particular houses was newly built and it was rented in less than a number of days. So we need to also look at this and understand that so the Nigerian police force said the Fulani, whatever in Ibeju Lekki, was the first alarm. And then, I said it too, that until we are able to investigate what actually happened and why it happened, and we were able to get, because, when that news broke out, I said it in my last video that the trusted news outlets in Nigeria, like Rise News channels, Sahara Reporter, and other prestigious news agencies have not, reported that situation as at that time. So they've not affirmed if these guys were truly Fulani, they were herdsmen. However, this is a call to be more cautious. And like I said, kudos to the mental alertness of the people who are also, very, very much aware, and they were able, okay, to salvage the situation. So these are some of the things that I actually wanted to discuss. These are one of the things that I also want to discuss in these areas. And also, I will also be talking briefly on some of the things you need to understand if you are investing in Nigeria. Now, most of the areas that are prone to security problems, most of these axes, most of these locations that have been experiencing different ways of kidnapping, these unfortunate circumstances and situations always have negative impact on real estate. Now, I cited in my previous area that there was a particular time where some group of armed men, okay, dominated Epe, I'm trying to remember, yes, the how come I forgot this place? All right, so I'll continue the conversation if I get to the location of you. So these guys dominated the I'm trying to the Gunla axis of Epe, and this was a long time ago. These were just group of guys, and there'll be series of kidnappings in the Gunla. That was several years ago. And as this wave of kidnapping happened, what happened in Gunla as at that time was that it affected real estate in Epe. Nobody was going there. Nobody was going to buy property there. And even till now, it still have its effect, despite the fact that the kidnappers have been caught, they've been arrested by the Nigerian police, they've been prosecuted. That thing is like a stigma that still plagues real estate in those axes. So, and most of the people that are investing in oil right now, because of the fact that this wave of kidnapping seems to continue, people may not want to invest like they do. And it's quite unfortunate because you see, when it now comes to experiencing a good developmental plan, if investment is not going into the real estate of that location, then the development in that location cannot, be even. And it's quite unfortunate that these things are happening. And pretty basically is that the situation is arrested. Now, what must you do? I said this in my previous video and I'm going to say it again. Prioritize rental properties. Prioritize rental properties. Now, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. One of the things that many people don't understand about the Nigerian real estate industry is that there's what we call the dividends of real estate. And this dividends is not shared or does not respect the amount of money or the typology of the property you are buying. What the dividends of real estate truly appreciates, or what truly determines how profitable your investment is the location you are investing. And when it comes to location in real estate, a whole lot of people seems to be getting it, doing it wrongly. And it's quite unfortunate, but these things need to be adequately addressed and mentioned as at when due. A one-bedroom apartment in a location where there is overpopulation may do well than a duplex in a location where people are not interested in. And what are the major drivers of investment in locations of that nature? The first thing we need to understand, basically, if you are investing, is that what determines the profitability in real estate are the infrastructures and institutions that are there. Now, when I started out in real estate, I've said it before that I was focused on Ibeju Lekki and Epe alone. And most of my videos, if you have been following me more consistently, you would have realized that most of my old videos are talking about Ibeju Lekki, where Ibeju Lekki. I rarely talked about other locations because as at that time, what I knew about investing was only about Ibeju Lekki and Ekpe. Now, this does not imply that Ibeju Lekki and Ekpe are not good destinations for real estate. But the most important thing we need to understand if you are investing in Lagos is that location is of utmost importance. When I began to do my own personal research, yes, I'm okay. I am very, very learned, and I did a lot. I've done a lot of research on real estate properties appreciation. What are the drivers of demand? What are the determinants of demand? I've done a lot of study on migration pattern, and last year I'm working on the population, and I'll be doing a video. It might be, if of course, it will be one of our recorded videos on the birth rates and how it's affecting real estate in some certain locations. So I did an extensive research on the Lagos mainland, and in that research, my major case studies were four locations. I talked about Yapa. I looked at Surulere. I also looked at Ikeja and other places on the mainland. And one of the things I discovered basically is that that research I did as at that time was obviously an eye opener. I understood, some things about properties. I found out basically that Ibeju Lekki is not only the promising location. In fact, in some places, 60% of properties on Ibeju Lekki still requires you wait. And sometimes it is painful for you to now realize that your waiting does not even have an expiry date. Like, okay, oh, this particular property that I have bought, oh, how long will it take me to start, getting the reward? How soon can I sell? How soon can I liquidate and get back my return and invest in other locations? So I discovered basically that real estate in other locations has its own dimensions, has its own. So one of my discoveries basically was that Yaba has a lot of tech hubs. Yaba has a lot of tertiary institutions. Yaba has a lot of markets. Yaba has a lot of things. And basically, the University of Lagos, it has affected the Yaba real estate. The University of Lagos, Yaba, FC, Yaba Tech, FC Akoka has actually affected real estate in that axis to the point that it has gone very, very insane that people pay 4 million naira annually to rent a room self-contained in Akoka. And so this now explains. So real estate developer who understood this earlier, investors, real estate developers who understood that I can put in a 50 million, then no, not now, then I can put in 100 million, commit 300 million in a project, make as high as 300, 400 million off my project, and I will even make more when I choose to manage that property for my real estate investors. Now, I discovered that the population of the staff management of Unilag is over 8,000, and University of Lagos was only able to provide accommodation for I think just 2 or 3,000. So the remaining people would definitely have to look for alternative investment. In fact, if you have studied that location very well, you realize that a whole lot of real estate, a whole lot of individual investors are buying off lands there, very, very expensive, and they're setting up student hostels. Now, it's even as it's very, very unbelievable to find out that people pay as high as 700,000 for a bed space. A bed space is not like you rent the entire house, it's like a combination of an hostel whereby you have a bed space, and people pay as high as 700,000 per session, not even per year, per session to have a bed space in a private hostel. And the situation is becoming more. So there is a rental demand in that location. So that means that you can put in a 50 million naira or a 45 million naira, depending on the location on the developer, in that region and you make as high as 3.54 million when you are doing annual rentals, and you can make as high as 4 to 6 million on short-let properties. So it makes sense for you to have home multiple rental agreement. So the thing about real estate is that it's based on information. Now, and whosoever is your property advisor, if they do not understand how this rental thing works, they will not be able to advise you rightly. And this was one of the things that happened to me when I started real estate, because I concentrated all my time and effort in the Ibeju Lekki, saying it was the new Lagos. Of course, it is the new Lagos. It has a coastal road, but everything about real estate did not start and end there. There are other locations that are very, very promising. So there were locations, other nearby locations like Surulere. When you move further to Ikeja, in fact, real estate in Ikeja right now is for the billionaires. I'm telling you, because you see, when we talk about classy or luxury real estate, most of us have this impression that classy real estate is only limited to Ikoyi, limited to Victoria, and some part of Lekki Phase 1. But that is not true. Areas like Ikeja GRA is even more luxurious than some places in Ikoyi. Areas like Magodo GRA is even more luxurious than other places. Areas like Oregun, Ikeja, more importantly, the Allen Avenue of Ikeja is even more luxurious. The only thing basically is that there is no more adequate publicity on those areas, because you see, majority of the realtors that are practicing real estate are concentrated on the island only. So everything they tell you about the island, which is true, does not mean all the luxury or all the profitable real estate investment is on the island. That is it. And the funny thing about the mainland real estate is that they don't even make noise. You don't get to see a whole lot of publicity, a whole lot of things. So sometimes, so that is why I said, and I'm going to say it again, I'm not afraid to make this assertion. This assertion is academically proven to be true. Intellectual conversation, you can verify it on yourself. You can have a studio, a one-bedroom apartment in places like Yaba, a one-bedroom apartment in places like Surulere, a one-bedroom apartment in places of Ikeja, GRA, can get you times 5 rental opportunities than other places on the island. And why is that? The reason why you need to understand is that most of the island is prone to periodic flooding due to the fact that there is no good environmental structure that has been put in place to address this flooding. It is also notable for you to understand that most of these areas I mentioned on the mainland enjoy 12 to 18 hours power supply than other places. So until you have an experienced real estate investment specialist that can give you a balanced overview of both locations. So life does not end in Lekki, it does not end in Ajah, although there are rentals opportunities there. They are, but you see, what you get from this location is not comparable to other places or other developing places on Ibeju Lekki and Axis. Now, am I saying, please, I don't want to be misquoted, because you see, the reason why I'm having this conversation, the reason why I want us to understand this is that if you are investing in Nigeria and you are not diversifying, you may be doing it wrongly. Because you see, everything does not end on the island. Neither does anything end on the mainland. But you see, if you can afford to have a balanced real estate portfolio as far as the Lagos market is concerned. So a balanced portfolio is you have on the mainland, you also have on the island. And that is one of the things I preach. Well, that's one of the things I always insist, that everything does not end on the island. Presently, I reside in Ibeju Lekki, but I do more of property viewings on the Lagos mainland. So you must understand this. So with this wave of insecurity, and with the possibilities that there might be infiltrations, please do not misquote me. I never said they will be. I am saying that they might be. So what you must now do basically is that you must have it at the back of your mind that there might be infiltration. So if we start having cases of infiltrations of all these guys, what will become the fate of my investment in this location? Because you see, whenever we have security challenges, wherever we have security scare, investor tends to what? Abandon those places. And if those places are abandoned, they are not good for your investment. And that is why it is very important you understand how to have a balanced investment portfolio if you are investing in Lagos. So what you must now do basically is that don't put everything in Ibeju Lekki, don't put everything in Ekpe, don't put everything in dangote refinery, don't put everything in other area. Diversify. Look for facts. See, the way the Lagos real estate market works basically is that you can have a one bedroom in Yaba, and in terms of what that one bedroom, if it is properly managed, let me put that clause if, because you see, a whole lot of people are jumping into what they don't understand. And that is why I'm using that clause if it is well managed, if you're dealing with the right developer, that one bedroom can give you times two of the rent your three bedroom terrace duplex will give you on the island, if it's properly managed. So what I'm saying basically is that people are not tapping into the mainland real estate industry because there's so much publicity about it. So if we may have a possibility of infiltrations, because you see, if there will be infiltrations, the areas that are prone to these infiltrations might be the border areas, the border town. They might be the border town. You talk about the border town, we're talking about Ekpe Jebudi, Ekpe Kurudu, Odiomi areas of Ibeju Lekki, the eleko areas, because you see, they are places where these guys can fester. And if the government authority do the needful to protect people, then there won't be need to be bothered. But as a real estate investor, this is where you need to start evaluating your investment portfolio. Now, let me quickly cite this before, because I'm going to open the portal now for question and answer. Isaac, is that thing making noise? Okay, you've got the thing. Always from the wall to save the part. All right. Now let me give you what I meant by having a balanced investment portfolio. Real estate has I think, please tell her that she's shouting. Now, what does it mean to have a balanced real estate investment portfolio? I need to explain it so that you can understand. Let's look at the four important real estate that can guarantee you good investment. The very first one is what we call cash flow investment. Cash flow. Cash flow investments are real estate investments that gives you guaranteed rental, whether it is annually, whether it is quarterly. Cash flows are very important, and you get cash flows from shortlet properties and rental properties. The next investment that you should also prioritize basically is commercial real estate. There are companies that are selling malls, or they are selling shopping complexes in square meters at strategic locations. We have them on the mainland, we have them on the island. Now you can buy this thing, put it under their management. Okay, after they bought, after you have bought, they will help you get rent clients or renters for that. Number three, go into agro real estate. Now, when you now come to agro, a lot of people have misunderstood the opportunities that are in the agro. And the reason why I'm going to say this is that not everybody can deliver. Because you see, We are in a Nigeria where integrity is an issue, a serious issue. Me, I have dragged developer like this to court. I've dragged developer to police station. We have, we've had, when I say this and I'm laughing, it's not as funny as I may portray it. But the thing basically is that I've, I've, ha- I've not had it funny, and trust me, I'm a tough nut to break. We fought before we could resolve some resolution. So that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm dragging my hair. I'm an African person, so sometimes I may be a little bit expressive. More importantly, when I'm making points that I consider to be, I didn't mean anything. So what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that agro real estate is good, but it is very important that you work with us so that we can tell you there are some that we have worked with, that they have delivered, that we have the proof, we have the evidence. Now, what is happening in agro real estate is that some people have seen that it is profitable and they are jumping into it, even when they know fully well that they don't have the expertise of how to sustain it. So, and that's when there can be issues in the future. So, agro real estate is good if it's done through the other people. Then, land banking. This is where you can now look at Ibeju Lekki. Okay, Elenogbe is a very prominent location right now. Even if you don't have the entire 32 million that are asking for a plot, what is wrong with 300 square meter? What is wrong with 450 square meters? See, we always have this notion that it has to be full plots. My dear brothers and sisters, my fathers and mothers watching this video, you don't need a full plot to land bank. You can land bank to at 300, 450. Just make sure you have something in that area and don't put all your investment in that area. When you have a balanced real estate investment portfolio, that's when you can now see. Because you see, in a country where insecurity is becoming a major concern, what if the areas you put all your investment is now experiencing that insecurity? What will now be the fate of your investment? And these are some of the things that we need to understand, some of the things we need to explain before you invest. So these are some of the things. So I'll be opening my lines right now for questions. I know a lot of people will have questions. The number is plus 234 802 132 7360. So I'm opening my so if you have questions, if you have inquiries, you can let us have this conversation. If you are joining this live, I want to say a very, very big thank you. Thank you for staying. Okay. Presently, right now, I think I have more than 5 people joining. And it's been a while since I had this live session. I've been busy. I was at Abeokuta yesterday, and I've been to other locations because I won't sell and go away. The people that we sold next generation farm to, I'm personally going to that farm to monitor the way things are being done. And when I see things I don't like, call the company. Hello, my investors have money here. These are things I'm seeing. I want this thing done. And they respond. The response has been positive. So when it comes to our group, because I really don't want us to have, when it's time for the company to deliver what they have promised as projected income, there are some things that could affect that delivery. So, which is when we go there, we see it, we call their attention, and the needful or the right thing is done. So, let's take questions. So, the line is open for inquiries, and then I would quickly respond to that. All right, in the sense of none, if I don't have any inquiry in the next 5 minutes, I'll just call it a wrap. So, I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that has participated in this live session. Um, I'll be dropping a video by the special grace of God. Today is Friday. So this live session will cover for Friday. So by the special, I'm going to be dropping a video tomorrow on a project that is on Yaba. You can look at it if you're interested in it. You can contact me if you have been following my live session. Please subscribe to this channel. Please. Videos, important videos like this. Please help me share. Share to your friends. Share to your family. More importantly, the ones that are Nigerians or the ones that are interested in investing in Nigeria, please share this video. So I don't have any question now. So I want to call it a wrap. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that have joined me on this live session. I don't take your um this for granted. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. So, by the special grace of God, next week, God willing, let's do this on Wednesday. So, the last session will now be on Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays and Fridays. If there's a need for me to come on Monday, please subscribe to this channel. I'll post it on the timeline of this YouTube channel. So you'll be notified on time, okay? Because there might be some time whereby a new security update can pop up, and I need to inform my followers, my subscribers, and more importantly, my real estate investors. So I'll just drop. So it might be maybe likely on Mondays or Tuesday, but the fixed day for our live session is on Wednesdays and Fridays. So if I'll be having live session before that time, I'll put a notification on. So if you are following us, if you are a subscriber, you will see the notification. Thank you very much. God bless you. See you by next week.